Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I just have something really quickly I wanted to say about this Derreck Jackson divorce situation. It's something that I've noticed with certain types of men, and I can't help but wonder why they do this. But before I go into that, let me just give a super quick summary. I know we all know already about Derreck Jackson and his wife, at least most of us, but quick summary. Derreck Jackson is a relationship expert of sorts. He gives relationship advice online, and he's well known for that on YouTube and on Instagram. And he's written a couple of books as well. He seems quite knowledgeable with some of the advice that he gives and some of the topics that he covers. He has a lot of followers, right? His wife is I'm not sure what she does for a living. I did not look into that, but she is a very staunch Christian, and she does have her Bible study sessions that she does on Instagram, I believe. Being that Derreck Jackson is known for being a relationship expert and he focuses on giving women advice on how to interpret some men's behavior, and he also gives men advice on how to interpret some women's behaviors as well. But he is generally perceived to be on women's side, and some people do say that he panders to women in order to build a career in his work as a relationship expert. So now, with that being said, a couple of years ago, I think 3 years ago, maybe in 2020, I believe, he was found to have been in a relationship with another woman, not his wife, and he has had many girlfriends ever since then, and it all came out on YouTube and on Instagram, and it was this whole big thing where he had to apologize on a public platform holding his wife's hand, and his wife supported him, and they were out of the public eye for a little while, but they came back. He came back to his work and everything was all fine and normal, and that was how everyone knew that he was unfaithful, right? So recently, we just found out that even though he was back together with his wife, they never really separated or anything. But we recently found out that the relationship with his wife had soured again, and he has filed for a divorce. And he put out a statement stating that he and his wife were going their separate ways and things did not work out. And we have also seen clips from his wife talking about what to do when someone's been unfaithful to you, or when you've had to deal with infidelity.
Are used to practicing powerless Christianity because they don't open their mouths and actually read the scriptures, right? So when you go to the book of Psalms, there's a prayer for everything that you will experience in your life. If your husband is cheating on you or your wife is cheating on you, you want to go to Psalm 55 and read that, right? And as you read that and speak that out loud between you and God, God does something. He moves. He acts on your behalf.
And she went really hard after people that were slandering her name and people that were saying negative things about her marriage.
With scripture and read everything that pertains to enemies and types of enemies. You are ignorant, and you have to begin to read the word so you can come out of that ignorance and come into the knowledge and understanding of God. Now, when we're dealing with slander, in the previous videos, we dealt with some of the scriptures that dealt with slander. So we're going back to Psalm 101 verse 5, right?
And she cursed them out, and she used the Bible a lot, and she wished death upon their kids' parents or their spouses, and it was this whole thing. And so that is basically where things stand, right? Derreck has filed for divorce from his wife, and everyone is in uproar again, which is no surprise to many people because he was being disloyal to her on many instances and for a very long time. So that's where things stand. Now, here's what I noticed that I want to make this video about. In his statement regarding the divorce, he said this. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, right? But I'm going to read what stood out to me in this second paragraph here. When he said, earlier this year, after much prayer, counseling, and deep consideration, we decided to go our separate ways and filed for divorce. Making the decision to file was one of the hardest decisions of my life. But I found peace knowing that our mission of raising healthy children, starting with healthy and whole parents, is still being accomplished. So here he said, making the decision to file was one of the hardest decisions of my life. That stood out to me for some weird reason because I've seen this happen from certain types of men. As much as we don't know who's at fault, who's the worst person, because let's be honest, just because Derrick was the one cheating does not mean he was the worst person in the relationship. People are bad and they show negative qualities in many different ways besides infidelity. Okay? I'm not saying that she was the bad one or Derrick was the bad one. I don't know. It's their marriage. That's their problem. That's for them to figure out. Because I have seen her wish death on people. I have seen her be extremely colorist, and I've seen her talk down on certain people. And so who's to say who's the worst one in the relationship? However, the fact that he made that statement, I just cannot help but think that he wants people to know that he filed for divorce, that he was the one who filed. There is no reason why he should phrase that statement that way, that said the decision to file was one of the worst decisions of my life. I mean, or hardest decisions, or whatever he said. He started out great, right? The statement started out as we, and he sounded like they were a team and they came to the decision together. But for some reason, he had to say the decision to file. Why could he not have said our decision to go our separate ways was one of the hardest decisions of our life? Like, there's so many ways he could have phrased that. But I feel like he wanted people to know that he was the one who filed. Where have we seen something like this before? When the first that comes to mind was when Future and Ciara were no longer together, and Future really wanted people to know that he was the one who ended the relationship. He said it many times. I was the one who cut it off. I was the one who thought the relationship should end. And we also saw this with Kanye West, right? Kanye West, when he divorced Kim, he made sure to let everyone know that Kim was the one who was trying to make it work. She was the one who was begging for everything to go back to normal, and he was the one who wanted out of the relationship. And I don't know if it is a way for these men to save face, which it doesn't really do that though. Like, anybody can see that it takes a very insecure person to actually get up and say, well, I wasn't the one who was trying to keep the relationship going. I was the one who tried to end it. So what? I mean, it's just so childish. And it just puts into perspective a lot about the character of Derrick. And I don't know if it is because of his work. He has to portray a certain level of self-confidence in order to be successful and to be like some authority in the topics that he covers in his work, because that is his livelihood and he makes good money out of it. So I don't know if he's just trying to save face, but it is just so tacky for people, for when someone gets divorced, for the person who filed, it's usually the man who feels the need to say this, to come out and say, "Well, I was the one who filed for divorce, and I had to file." I mean, we don't need to know who filed. It is just so childish. And when I read the statement, that just jumped out to me. I'm like, "Oh, come on. You did not need to tell us who exactly filed and that you were the one who filed. It's okay." Jesus. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, personally, I'm not surprised that they are getting divorced, because if Derreck Jackson is a relationship guru and he has to maintain this persona of being a voice of authority in relationships, but then his wife is trying to come out with a boot camp on how to deal with infidelity, and everybody knows that when she's talking about dealing with infidelity, she is talking about her husband, Derreck Jackson. So how is he supposed to have a career, a successful career that people respect, and go to him for advice on relationships while his wife is at the same time having a boot camp on how to deal with infidelity from the man who's supposed to be a relationship expert? It contradicts his work so much that I don't know if she didn't really think through about this, or perhaps this is something she has to do for herself, because it sounds like she's still trying to work through all of this, and she's just finding different ways to get through it. She's using religion, she's clapping back at people, she's sending threats to people, wishing that they would lose their loved one. I mean, it's like she's doing any and everything. And the boot camp, although it sounds like it was designed to help other people, I think it's more for herself than for anybody else. It sounds to me like a form of self therapy to kind of work through what she has gone through or is still going through, because Derreck is still being seen with other girls. And it just will not work for her to have this boot camp going on. In other words, calling her husband a cheater, while the cheater that the boot camp is about is giving relationship advice. It's just not going to work.
Lately, a lot of you have been asking me, how do you get through infidelity because you have been dealing with the pain alone? It's probably the number one most common question that I get from people who reach out to me. Followed by, how did you go from this to this in the midst of public scandal? So I decided I'm finally going to create an online infidelity recovery bootcamp to show other people how to heal from excruciating pain and anger after your spouse has been unfaithful. If this is something you or someone you know is suffering from, and you're looking to be set free and to gain clarity on whether you should stay in your marriage or leave, this is for you. Click the link in my bio, register, and let's walk step by step.
So, if you look at it this way, from this perspective, the divorce was inevitable. If these two are going to have careers in these two drastically different fields that oppose one another, then they just have to go their separate ways. So, I'm not surprised that they're getting divorced, and it's really sad. The woman, Danae, is so deep into her faith that I know people that have this belief and mentality that she has, and good luck trying to pull her out of it. There's just no way. I do not even know if there's anyone that is as deep into this kind of Christianity that she's in that have gotten out of it. They tend to stay in there, maybe until something drastic happens to them, and they gradually, over a very, very, very long period of time, pull themselves out of it. But she's so deep into her faith and literally interpreting the Bible that I don't think that she's gonna be any different anytime soon. So I'm not even going to bother offering any type of advice to a person like this. They simply will not listen. Anyway, it was that statement that Derek made that just stood out to me, that just made me think, wow, I mean, is this an insecurity thing? Is it a face saving thing? Is it a power thing? Does he want to know, does he want people to know that he's the one with all the power who decided to end his marriage, and that his wife is not leaving him, so that he can continue to be trusted in his work? And is that why he had to make the statement that to let us know that he was the one who filed? It is no, like, people don't choose their words carelessly. That was a statement that he put out. I'm sure he read it over and over many times before putting it out, and he did not have to tell us that he was the one who filed. That is tacky and childish and just ridiculous. Anyway, that's all I had to say on this. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next one. Bye, guys.